If you have moved from being a contributor to a business to now leading out in a business, there has to be a shift, not only of your title, but also of your identity as a leader. Also, your habits need to change, your perspective needs to change, what you focus on needs to change, your circles need to change. So there's a lot of change that need to happen in order for you to really thrive in this new role and next season. Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine Esbrand. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. If you have recently been promoted or you've just gone through a career change, you may be feeling a little anxious, a bit overwhelmed. You may be feeling depleted because it's been a journey to get here. And if you're feeling that way, I want you to lean in to today's episode because we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about why you might feel this way and what you should do about it. When we hear people talking about promotions and making changes in your career, a lot of the talk is around how to prepare, how to secure, what you need to be doing to position yourself. And then you probably see those updates on LinkedIn, you know, the standard template updates where people say, I'm happy to announce that I've been promoted to X, Y, or Z, or they share that they're starting a new position as X. But what happens after that? What happens after the title changes? We don't see enough, we don't hear enough of people talking about what actually happens behind the scenes for you as a person who is transitioning from one role to a more senior position, or transitioning from one industry into a new one, or one organization into a new one. We don't often hear about the emotional hangover that can come once you hit a milestone that you have been working towards. When I was training to become a lawyer, I had dedicated so much time and energy in figuring out how I was going to secure a training contract that you need to qualify as a lawyer here in the UK. And then after that, I gained the experience, I did the networking, I secured the interview, I did the interview, and then I got the role as a trainee. Then I worked 2 years as a trainee so that I could get to the point where I received my certificate to say that I was admitted to the role of solicitors here in the UK and that I was able to practice. And I remember when I got to the point where I was actually qualifying, and I was excited to have reached the milestone, but there was something missing. The feeling that I thought I was going to feel when I finally arrived at this milestone that I had been pursuing for years wasn't quite there. I thought I would be more excited. I thought there would be a sense of fulfillment. I thought I would be like, yes, I finally made it. And it felt more like okay, we're here now. Awesome. And after okay, we're here now, awesome, came we're here now. Okay, what do I need to do? How am I going to show up? How have they allowed me to even do this? Am I qualified? Can I do it? All of the doubt then came in, and I was asking myself, what have I got myself into? I'm now here sitting in this law firm and people are expecting me to know the answers to things. And I was low-key freaking out. And I think that if I reflect on my career over the years, every time I have made some kind of transition or level up into a new environment, after the initial excitement of securing the role or achieving that next step, there is that feeling of like, okay, what are we doing? So today I want to talk about that, because I think if you are in that season, sometimes you can start doubting whether you made the right decision. You might be questioning whether you've got what it takes. And I want to let you know this is absolutely normal. Absolutely normal, because leveling up in your career, making moves, changing the way that you're doing things require an identity shift. And even more so if you are doing things differently, doing things in a different environment. It all requires an identity shift, which can take some time to go through. This is especially true if you've been in a role or position or a lane for 5, 7, 10 years, and you are at a place where you know your colleagues inside and out. Your colleagues have become friends, where your clients really know you and ask for you and seek you out, where your industry peers know you and what you're about. So you go from that place of everyone knowing who you are and understanding your skill set and recognizing that you are good and that you are someone who is committed to excellence, to then moving into a brand new environment, a brand new role and remit where it really feels like you're starting over. So your expertise may have got you to where you are now in this job, but then in order to show up and do the job and do it well, there are so many other things that you need to adjust to. There's so many other things. So the way that you've been doing life, if you think about your day to day, you know, how you've woken up and then where you go, which days you work in the office, which days you work at home, who you're spending your time with, who you're going on lunch with, how you're thinking, how you're talking, that's life for you. And as you're moving into this new environment, that's all going to change. And I don't think we talk enough about the fact that there can be grief. There can be some grief around that, letting go, that change that needs to happen. It's not always easy. Whilst you might be really happy about it and excited that you're moving forward, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an easy transition. This is why when you're going through transition, it's important to get support. It's important to have support in different forms. And I highly, highly recommend coaching for this type of transition. Could you figure it out on your own? Could you figure out how you're going to show up now? Could you figure out what's going to be best for you? Yes, absolutely. But is it going to take you longer to do so? Yes, absolutely. This is a shameless plug. If you're considering working with a coach, I am a career and executive coach who has coached hundreds of women through career transitions over the years. So if you want to learn more about what it looks like to work together, head over to www.janinesbrand.com/coaching. When I say I highly recommend coaching when you're going through this type of transition, it's because I have been coached while going through a transition and I saw the benefits and how helpful it was. I was working as a lawyer part-time and then working in my business part-time. I made the decision that I was going to go full time in my business back in 2021 while we were in the midst of lockdown. I'd been doing both for around 4.5 years, and I had always felt like I was pressed for time. I felt like I only had a certain amount of time that I could dedicate to my business. I felt like I was always chasing my tail and doing all the things and juggling all the balls. So my thought was, once I transition into the business full time, I'm going to have more capacity, right? I'm going to have more time to do the things that I need to do. I'm going to feel less overwhelmed, less stress, and all of that jazz. Well, after I transitioned, it didn't quite pan out that way. I couldn't quite figure out how having more time wasn't making me feel less rushed. Having more time wasn't making me feel less stressed. So I sought the support of a business/life coach at the time, and working with her really helped me to see my blind spots and understand what was slowing down my progress. Because here's the thing, I have been conditioned to be an employee. My whole professional career, I had been conditioned to be an employee, which means that I had an employee mindset. The way that I would show up and plan my time and think about the things that I needed to get done was very much in the way that I had when I was working within a law firm or an organization and I had a partner or a line manager that was directing me and sharing with me what I needed to do when. Now I moved into being a business owner, a CEO, being the leader. I needed to create systems. I needed to establish processes. I needed to understand my preferences. I needed to create systems so that the business could run, but so that I, as the leader of the business, could operate effectively. And I wasn't really recognizing that before. So I was trying to use my old way of operating within this new role, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So we had some really deep conversations. There was some tears. There was some moments of realization, some aha moments that really made me recognize that it's not enough to just say, okay, now I run my business. I am a leader. I can do this. I need to rewire the way that I'm thinking and the way that I'm showing up so that I can really step into this role and do what is required of me in this new role at this new level with this new title. And so for you, if you have moved from being a contributor to a business to now leading out in a business, there has to be a shift, not only of your title, but also of your identity as a leader. Also, your habits need to change, your perspective needs to change, what you focus on needs to change, your circles need to change. So there's a lot of change that need to happen in order for you to really thrive in this new role and next season. And similarly, if you're moving from one industry to another, everything's different. The lingo's different. You know, those acronyms that people use, the types of clients are different. What is important is going to be different. And so understanding how do you take what you have already and repackage it, reposition it, and be able to use it where you're going next isn't easy to figure out on your own, particularly when you're busy. You know, when you first start and you're hitting the ground running and you've got people wanting to meet you, you've got lots of things on the calendar, you've got training, you need to understand things. There's a lot going on. So creating the headspace that is required for you to really unpack who am I now and how am I showing up is a challenge. So there's something amazing about having a call booked on the calendar on a weekly or bi-weekly basis with your coach and having that dedicated time set aside for you to really work on you as the individual who is leading out in this career and leading out in this business or in this organization department. So I highly, highly recommend that if you are finding yourself falling into those feelings of anxiousness and overwhelm now that you're about to step into the role that you've been wanting, then seek out support. Seek out support. In addition to seeking out support, here are 3 steps that you can take to manage the emotional hangover that is going to occur after making a big career transition. So number 1, you want to name it and normalize it. Name what you're feeling instead of beating yourself up for the way that what you're feeling or what you're experiencing. Just acknowledge that this is a big deal. I am making a big life change and I have an emotional hangover that is attached to this. I do feel anxious. I do feel overwhelmed, and that is absolutely fine. Name it, normalize it, and then you can move on. The second thing that you want to do is anchor yourself in the small wins. Focus on the small wins each and every day. You are making a transition and it takes a while for you to get familiar with systems, with processes, with ways of doing things. So any little win, if you're able to log in correctly, if you're able to understand a new acronym or do things that you couldn't do a few days before, count those wins and recognize that you are moving forward. And the more you keep pushing forward and you do things and you succeed, the more you'll build your confidence. During a coaching session recently, a client was telling me that she was feeling as though she was letting the team down. She'd only been working in this role for a few weeks, but she felt like she was taking a long time to get up to speed and be able to support clients of the business. She was beating herself up about that and she was saying, I feel like I'm just there, I'm not adding any value. And fast forward a couple weeks later, she came and gave me an update and said, one of my colleagues had the nicest thing to say about me. The colleague had mentioned that before my client arrived, everyone was feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And since she's come, she's hit the ground running and she has relieved so much pressure and taken a weight off of the shoulders of other members of the team. So I was highlighting to her during our coaching session that the perspective on the situation was very different from her to her colleague. From her perspective, she felt like she was taking a long time, she wasn't doing enough, she was slowing everybody down. But from her colleague's perspective, she was adding immense value, relieving them of pressure, and really showing up and doing more than what they had expected her to be able to do at that stage of being in the team. It's important for us to keep perspective and not make up our own stories, not make up assumptions about what other people are thinking or feeling about your progress, and instead really track what you are doing and allow the data to guide you. If you are able to do a lot more than you were able to do before, you are absolutely making progress. And then the third thing I want you to do is Give yourself some structured downtime. Recognize that going for a promotion or going through a career change process brings with it cognitive load. The energy, the perspective, the time that you put into getting here was a lot. So recognize that your body may just need some time to recalibrate and need a bit of a slowdown. There's a lot of processing that is happening on a daily basis as you are learning new things. So carve out time where you can just reset without guilt, whether that is walking outside, listening to music, praying, reflecting. For me, it's adult coloring. I love to sit down with my coloring pens and my coloring book and color. It just calms me so much. I have to hide it though, because my daughter likes to take my coloring book, but that's another conversation for another day. But for you, find the thing that helps you to maintain your energy in this new phase. Recognize that for you to show up optimally, you need to look after yourself and your body. I think sometimes we can pay lip service to the idea of self-care and not recognize that it is your biggest productivity hack. If you are making sure that your body is well and your brain is functioning well, you are going to execute so much better. So that includes making sure you get enough sleep. And as I talk to you, I'm talking to myself because that is a struggle for me because I like to go to bed too late. But I recognize the difference when I'm able to give myself the rest I need, the exercise I need, and when I'm eating correctly, my performance is fire. And it can be the same for you. So make sure that as you are leading yourself and your career in this new phase, that you are giving yourself everything that you need to succeed, that you are setting yourself up for success. Yes, you might be in this feeling of anxiousness and overwhelm, but you taking these steps where you are identifying the feeling that you're feeling, recognizing that it's valid, you anchoring yourself in the small wins, and then you creating time to recharge and reset is really going to put you in a good position to move forward, recalibrate, and now execute at this new level. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I also have an announcement about summer intensives. Throughout the month of July and August, I am going to be offering summer intensives for leaders. If you are a business leader, if you are a founder, if you own your own business, these sessions are designed to help you up level your visibility and come up with a plan of action so that you can be seen, so that your voice can be heard, and so that you can have the level of influence that you want to have. When I first started out in my business 10 years ago, I just had a LinkedIn profile that I had set up when I was a lawyer, wasn't optimized for anything really. And since that time, I have done a lot of learning around building a brand and building a business. And I have been able to start this podcast and run it for the last 6 years. We are on episode 287 at this point. I have delivered a TEDx talk. I've spoken on stages internationally. I've delivered workshops for global organizations. I've networked my way into rooms that I never thought I would be in. And all of that has been possible because I was intentional about making connections and building a presence in different spaces. I'm not saying it's been seamless. There's definitely been trial and error. There's definitely been mistakes that I've made, but I have been able to gain traction. And I think there are so many incredible leaders out there who have so much to share, so much to give, so much to offer, but they're not able to because they are not being seen and heard in the right rooms by the right people. So my goal with these intensives is to impart knowledge onto you, experience that I have gained, and really help you to map out your visibility plan and figure out what is the right way to grow your thought leadership for you. There's different ways that you can go about it. I want to offer my brain to you in these intensives and help you to come up with your plan. So if you are new in a leadership position and you're saying, okay, right, I'm here and now I need to figure out how I'm going to strategize and move everything in the way that I want it to go, having visibility is a fundamental pillar. And I dive into this deeply with my clients when we do one-to-one coaching over a number of months. But the intensive is really about helping you to focus on the visibility pillar. So if this is resonating with you and it sounds like something that you could benefit from, I want you to shoot me an email, Janine@careerchangemakers.com. I'm only offering these intensives to 6 people over this summer period. So you need to email me to get more details about signing up. I'm excited about the incredible leaders that I'm going to be able to support. I hope one of those can be you. So send me an email, janine@careerchangemakers.com. If you have been loving the content on this podcast, make sure that you go over and leave a rating and review on your podcast app, because that is how more people find the show. Also, connect with us over on Substack. I have set up the Substack community so that I can have a two-way conversation with you. I love jumping on here every week and sharing, but unless you send me a message or write me a review, I don't know what's going on in your head, and I don't know what you're thinking about what I've shared. So if you join us in the Substack community, I will start a thread at the end of every episode, and there you can start a discussion with me and fellow listeners. You can ask questions about the topic, and we can just engage on a much deeper level. So I'll put the link to our Substack in the show notes, and I look forward to either receiving an email from you, seeing you in the Substack community, or reading one of your reviews. Until next time, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals. Bye.